What's up guys, Torgo here, and I just wanted to show you where I've gotten in Hearthstone. I usually suck at Arena. I've done 2 other arenas and gotten, I think, 2 wins the one arena and 3 wins in the other. Decided to play this morning, got to choose a Mage. Always pick Mage. I'm at 11 wins and 1 loss, and it's ridiculous. So I thought I'd record this last game in the hopes that I get my 12th win, which is the current maximum for Hearthstone. And I also wanted to run through the deck that I made and just review why it's been working out so well and how powerful each card has been. And hopefully it'll help you win you arena, and if you want to, or if you get to make a Mage deck and some of the choices to make. So starting off, Mana Worm for the 1 cost. And if your spell, not spell heavy, but if you have any spells, it's going to get powered up at least a little bit. Each game, it hasn't gotten extremely powered up for me. It's gotten maybe an attack or 2 in. Usually your opponents target these guys pretty early on because they can get so powerful so quickly. So it's kind of a throwaway card, but decent for some, for a cost of 1 for early game for removal. Arcane Explosion, managed to pick up 1 of these for the deck. It's actually helped me, I think, in at least 2 or 3 of the 11 games, in conjunction with something else that gives me spell power, like the Azure Drake, or the where is he? Mage. I've had a couple of games where they've had a board full of 2s and 3s, and I'll throw down the Arcane Explosion and then Hero Power Fireball them for another 1 and do a full board clear for 4 I'll just call it mana crystals, which has been pretty good. Frostbolt has been good a couple of times for creature removal, some of those annoying early game creatures that have 3 health. Other than that, maybe used once or twice. Amani Berserker, I tried to play him in at least 1 or 2 games where early game I could hit him with my own fireball and get him to be a 5/2 and enraged. Hasn't worked out yet. Bluegill Warrior, I have used him in at least 1 or 2 games. He's a great early removal card. If they bring out something early on that might have 3 health, so you'll drop the Bluegill Warrior and hit him in 1 turn to drop the opponent minion's health down to 1, and then you fireball in the next turn. There's a lot of powerful minions that are early game that have 3 health. For example, Mana Worm. I know I did that to another mage in a different game. There's the Priest card for drawing, where whenever one of your minions gets healed, they'll draw a card. It's a 1/3, so same thing. It's great for removal for that. So I figured it would be just a good removal card. Ironbeak Owl. I was pretty light on silences. I believe this is the only silence I have in the deck. It has saved me, or won me at least a couple of games, and then in conjunction with the Ancient Brewmaster to drop the owl and then use the Brewmaster to bring him back, and then use him again either the same turn or the next turn to remove a taunt, so I can get just enough damage through to throw my Fireball or my Pyroblast to win the game. So very important to have at least 1 silence or more. Novice Engineer, you need card draw, otherwise you're just going to run out of steam. This is a very cheap, inexpensive form of card draw, while still having that 1/2 on the board, so you can hurt one of their minions that might have a high attack, low health, and then you can fireball as well and remove them. It's all about the board control and opponent's minion removal. Sorcerer's Apprentice. I've won a couple of games because of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, just because I'd be able to throw 2 spells instead of 1 in a given turn based on how much mana I had. I think there was 1 game where I had 8 mana, the opponent had 12 health, and I threw down the Sorcerer's Apprentice and I had 2 fireballs in my hand, so I cast both for a total of 6, doing 12 damage, and won that game. Sun Fury Protectors, I can't say enough about. There have definitely been at least a couple of games where they haven't been terribly useful, but the majority of the time you're turning one of your other creatures into a taunt card to buy you at least 1 turn if they've got a powerful minion on the board. Normally, if I have 2 minions on the board, I would drop this down between them, but I've been trying to get more strategic. So if I have 1 minion I really don't want to die on the board, like the Raging Worgen, and I have something else I don't really care about, maybe an Acolyte of Pain or an Ironforge Rifleman, I'll throw down the Sun Fury Protector on one side of the, for example, Acolyte of Pain, so they become a taunt, but not so the Raging Worgen does, so that the Raging Worgen can't be touched. So just get a little strategic with the Sun Fury Protector. Don't automatically drop them down so that you're turning 2 creatures into taunts, just because sometimes it's more advantageous just to have 1, so you can keep the other thing without taunt alive, so the opponent doesn't have the option of attacking it. Arcane Intellect, again, you need that card draw. I've used it every game that I've drawn it. Vaporize, it's definitely saved me at least a game or two, I would have to say, where they bring out something real powerful and I drop Vaporize, and they just plow right into it because they had no other minions on the board, or because I'd intentionally removed the other minions on the board. Acolyte of Pain, again, great card draw, especially if you can drop them early game and either fireball them yourself, or if the opponent has a low attack card, you can just run them into them. Card draw is very, very important in Arena because you can run out of steam pretty quickly. Some of my early games, my opponents were dominating me. I had in the teens health-wise, and I was usually able to use, or they just ran out of cards. I was in the teens health-wise, and they just ran out of cards. And I just came through, and they were at full health, and I, within a matter of 3 or 4 turns, took them out. The only game that I lost was against a Mage. The Mage had better cards than me and better draw, and may have very well been a better player. My 10th and 11th win were against the same guy. I'd have to... his name was the Phoenix. Sorry, the Phoenix. It must have been incredibly frustrating to lose 2 games in a row to the same person, especially when the winning move was a Pyroblast. But normally Shaman decks are pretty tough to beat, and you played it very well. So let's see, I talked about Acolyte of Pain, card draw, Ironforge Rifleman, in conjunction with your hero Fireball. It's very good to get creature removal and be able to still keep your Rifleman on the board. Questing Adventurer, I really like the idea of, but I've never gotten very far with it because people identify it as such a strong card, and it is a strong card. But really, you need to plan that it's going to get removed in the first turn or 2 that it's out, and maybe never even have anything out there happen with it as far as hurting your opponent. I think there was one game where I got an attack or 2 in, but powering them up and them not getting hexed or sheeped or removed in some other way is pretty hard, I'm finding in Arena. Raging Worgen. I can't say enough about this card. I played somebody in a casual game, and I think they were a Mage, and they fireballed the Worgen, and I had no taunt on the board, and you can just whack for 8 in 1 turn, 2 4 hit point attacks. And I've done that in multiple games in Arena. I might only get to do it for 1 or 2 turns, but that's a lot of damage for a card that's so cheap. 3 to bring them down, and then 2 the following turn to fireball them yourself. Or I've played some Shaman where they've had totems on the board, and I can knock out 2 totems in 1 turn from that Wind Fury. Great for board control. Fireball has won me maybe half my games. Either Fireball or Pyroblast. I've gotten lucky enough to get 1 or 2, even 3 in 1 game. I had 3 Fireballs in my turn, and or in my hand rather. I had 3 Fireballs in my hand, and I cast 2 in 1 turn and brought them down within range, and cast 1 more the following turn, knocked them out. I've been tempted more than once to use it for creature removal, and I've gotten very lucky that I've never had to. I've held on to them, and that's usually what has won me the games, is that right at the very end, I'm 1 turn away from losing, and I have that Fireball or that Pyroblast in my hand just to strike straight through. They have taunts on the board, they have creature advantage on the board, and it doesn't matter. Ancient Brewmaster. He's very decent. I've been liking bringing him out when there's no other minions on the board, and then plopping down a Sunfury Protector to have a 5/4 taunt for only 6 mana. Well, so like I said before, use the Ancient Brewmaster in conjunction with the Ironbeak Owl. So I'll either already have the Owl out or bring the Owl out to silence something, Ancient Brewmaster to bring it back, and then if I have enough mana either that turn or the following turn, bring it out again to silence something else. Blizzard. I wasn't sure when I grabbed this if it was a good idea, but it's also helped me in at least a couple of games. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say I'd won them, but probably. I mean, every little piece helps. If you can get something on the board for plus spell power, doing 3 damage to everything on the board for 5 is pretty good. The freezing them is a huge advantage. It'll buy you a turn to get some sort of resistance out if they've dropped a couple of really big characters on the board. Azure Drake, fantastic for card draw, +1 spell damage, and it's a 4/4 for only 5 mana. It's a huge card. I've used that in conjunction with Brewmaster as well to get that late game card draw if I'm starting to dry up, or that little bit of spell damage to drop like 2 fireballs or 1 pyroblast to do somebody in. Archmage or Archmage, again, I think it's won me at least 1 or 2 games because of the plus spell damage and getting lucky or having a decent hand with the fireballs and pyroblasts. Save that stuff. Don't use it for creature removal. Use it for attacking straight through. Sunwalker, managed to get 2 of them, which has been great. It's fantastic for slowing the enemy down. It's pretty tough for somebody to remove one in 1 turn, or at least in the games that I've been in. I've been lucky enough. I remember one game I had 2 Sunwalkers in my turn, and I dropped 1 in 1 turn, and they knocked him out the same turn, but they weren't able to do anything else to me, and then the following turn dropped another one. So it bought me 2 turns, got me the mana that I needed, and I think I threw a Pyroblast and won. Flame Strike. I got 2 Flame Strikes. Always pick Flame Strike if it comes out for you to choose in an arena. 4 damage to all enemy minions for that much creature removal is fantastic. I was playing one of these games against a Warlock, and he had the summoning thing down where his minions cost 2 less, and it was late game, so it was turn 6, 7, 8, and he dropped as much stuff as he could because he was starting to be in the teens health-wise. And I did Flame Strike, and he had maybe 1 or 2 cards in his hand left, and it was game over for him. War Golem. 7/7 for 7, despite the lack of game text and special abilities, has also proven useful. I wouldn't go so far as to say it has won me any games, but it's a very powerful card for board control, creature removal, and hitting somebody for 7 just to get them down in range so that you can use your spells is fantastic. And last but definitely not least, Pyroblast. It's won me maybe 4 or 5 games. Early on, the first few games, I didn't pick it up, but about halfway through these 11 wins, I started picking it up. Again, overall strategy has been to maintain board control and get creatures out on the board and try to just whittle away at the enemy and try to get them down in the teens or so. Once you get them around 16, 18, something like that, then depending upon where you are in the game, you can start throwing fireballs down and pyroblasts, and that's what's been working for me. Again, board control is your number 1. If you have a pyroblast and a fireball in your turn, and you have enough health that you can take a turn or 2 of hits, then maybe, don't worry about the board control. That's what I've done a couple of times, and I've been 1 turn away from losing, and I've managed to take them out. So, thanks for watching. I hope this helps. I have no idea how I've gotten 11 wins. I don't really feel like I'm that good at this game, but whatever. So I'm going to record, hopefully, this last game to get to my 12th win. Hopefully not 2 losses in a row, though I'm very excited about hitting 11 wins. So we'll see what happens. I'm probably not going to talk very much because when I do that I kind of distract myself. But we'll see. Here we go. Hopefully the 12th win. And we get to see what sort of prizes 12 wins gives you. kill him this turn, so you could get rid of another creature later. Yeah, I'm gonna take a chance here.